All right, great. All right, we'll give it another minute or so. For those who are on, great, welcome. Super excited to be here tonight. We got an exciting tasting going. I can see Allison already planning, trying to get itching to get started. Those winemakers, they always like getting into the wine quickly. They also like to rub it into the rest of the team at Flat Rock Cellars when we do our barrel tastings, how they got to spend the day doing barrel tastings. So the life of a winemaker, Allison.
It's tough, but someone's got to do it, you know?
Exactly. So welcome everybody. We'll give it another minute or so. And like I said, we've got a really great tasting going on, and in a minute, I will introduce our participants, and we'll jump right into it, and that would be great. Awesome. All right, well, why don't we get started, because we only have an hour, and we got a lot to go through, a lot of cool, fun tasting to do tonight. This isn't your usual boring wine tasting, not that they ever are boring, but this is not your usual wine tasting. We're gonna have a little bit of fun and do some interesting stuff, get some insights into what we do at Flat Rock Cellars. But we brought a special guest in from Quebec, Montreal, and who is going to share with us some great cocktail recipes that you can do with some interesting ingredients. So I'd like to introduce Julie Mecteau, our friend up in Montreal, who is going to be...
Toronto now.
Where are you?
I'm in Toronto now.
Oh, you're in Toronto. Oh, that's even better. Great.
You guys, yeah. Originally from Montreal, and now I'm
there you go. Yeah. Well, the accents gives you away from not being from Toronto.
I know.
That's for sure.
I know.
But welcome, and Julie, in the second half of the tasting, is going to take us through a couple cool cocktails, or one at least. And we've got our amazing assistant winemaker, Allison Findlay, who is here, and she is going to reveal maybe some of the secrets that go into how we make Twisted, which is super exciting for us. Everything works smoothly, my wife Karen, and so if you see someone jumping in and out helping me with the cocktail and other things, and probably a lot of the technology, because I am not the technology guy, so if anything screws up technology wise, it's my fault, but someone will save me, I know. So welcome everybody, thank you both for joining us. There's a little down at the bottom here, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. So I've got the chat popped up, and if you have any questions, please put them on the chat. And if you're tuning in via Instagram Live, which I know there's a bunch of people on Instagram Live, you can find it in the bio, which people tell me makes sense to people who use Instagram, but it's in the FRC bio on Instagram is the link. So if you want to jump on this call, there's a link through the bio. Does that make sense, Allison? Did I do that right? I think I did that.
You nailed it. Link in bio. They'll get it.
Great. And we will try and get to all the questions. So ask away. Today we're doing two different things. We're super excited. We're going to learn a little bit about an FRC original in Twisted. And for those of you who went to the liquor store first and picked up a few extra bottles, we have our bottle of Twisted, but we also, if you've got your Unplugged, your Estate Riesling, and our Gewürztraminer, you'll be able to do a little blend, and Allison will take you through a quick little blend on the different wines that go into Twisted. And also, if you, I know it's been published out there, for Julie, if you want to get your cocktail ingredients ready, your tequila, your wines, beakers, cups, whatever else, ice, that would be great. So you can roll and get that together. And if you don't want to do any of that, just grab your favorite glass of Flat Rock Cellars and sit back and enjoy. So The other thing we've got going today is we've got a couple poll questions. So I'm just going to throw this up right now. And apparently this works really easily. I hit polls and I'm going to launch polling. You get a little question and you answer the question. Hopefully we'll get some results. So check it out and look at the poll. And while people answer the poll question, let me just start quickly by a little history of Twisted. It was in, so the history started where I was working at Inniskillen, and Inniskillen being a big ice wine house, I said, I got to plant some Riesling and Gewürztraminer so we can make those into ice wine. We never did make either of those blocks into ice wine ever. But when they came online in 2004, we had this Gewürztraminer, we had this Riesling, and we had Chardonnay. And, you know, we didn't know what to do with it. And out came this notion of, why don't we try blending them together and see what we come up with? And when we tasted the wine, we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, it just tastes yummy. And all the great quality things that we do at Flat Rock Cellars, hand-picked, hand-sort, gravity feed, all of those great things still exist with this wine. But we wanted to make it a little bit more fun. And so we're throwing around names, you know, Twisted Vines, 3 Vines, a whole bunch of different things. And finally, Karen said to me, why don't we just call it Twisted? And that's how Twisted came about. So that's the history of Twisted. To me, it's the wine that is best described as yummy. And before I throw it over and ask Allison a question, I just want to tell one great, to me, it's a cool story about Twisted. Tom Wilson, who used to be the former VP at Vintages at the LCBO, calls me up after Thanksgiving. He goes, Ed, I just got to tell you this story. He goes, over the weekend for Thanksgiving, I brought the best wine to my family Thanksgiving. Grand Cru Bordeaux, Burgundy, the best California, the best Australian. And you know what? The only 2 wines that were empty, bottles that were empty at the end of the night, were your 2 bottles of Twisted. And that to me is really what Twisted is all about. You can have all of those expensive wines, but when you want a great tasting wine, Allison and Dave and the team at Flat Rock Cellars, I think, just make a really yummy wine. So that's a little bit of the history of Twisted. Maybe Allison, before you get into the blending session, why don't you tell us, you know, to you, what is Twisted? What do you look for? That kind of stuff. There you go.
There we go. So Twisted is just another arm of when Ed talks about innovation. He talks about doing things differently at Flat Rock, not taking yourself as seriously. Twisted is just another arm of that. So it really allows Dave and I to play in the cellar, and not just with white Twisted. We've birthed red Twisted, pink Twisted, now sparkling Twisted. And all that does is allow us to really show off our winemaking creativity. So for the white Twisted we're going to be doing tonight, it's a Riesling Gewürztraminer Chardonnay blend. Every year it's a bit different depending on the vintage. And it's basically, we're looking for that Riesling dominant blend to have that beautiful acidic backbone, those nice citrus notes. You're gonna have the Gewürztraminer, which is the most beautiful grape during harvest. It's like an ombre, pinky, purple, orange, like gorgeousness. Smells like Fruit Loops before it's even fermented. And it ferments this beautiful, floral, little spicy characteristic with a very nice oily texture. And then you have our Chardonnay. And Chardonnay is a ubiquitous white grape in Niagara. It grows well here, it ripens well here, and it's always just beautifully produced. And so that's in there really to round up the mid palate when we're trying to blend these wines. So we're always doing different trials of percentages, and it always comes out different because every single year the vineyard gives us something different.
It's amazing.
Awesome, that's great. So now, just Alice, maybe before we jump in, it's a blend, right? Better, worse, single varietal. What's your take as a winemaker? Lots of debate.
Yeah, so there's so many components in wine. Acidity, there's residual sugar, there's tannin, phenolics, there's textural components. There's a lot going on. So a wine that's you're blending, you really have to pay attention to how that the sum of the parts versus the whole, right? So you're looking to have balance in that wine. I can't, you know, put a Riesling in there that's too dry because it'll be too acidic. You can't put a single varietal Gewürz in there without a residual sugar because maybe it'll be too flabby without any acids. So you really are playing with all the components in this wine. And with Twisted, you know, like I said, we taste every single year. It's always different because every single year the vintage is different. The grapes come out different. We're not going to have the same grape every single year. So it won't be the same wine every single year, but we're trying to blend them to give you twisted the same every year, you know? So that's why some years it's 70% Riesling and some years it's 80 and some years it's more Gewürztraminer. So we're basically trying to make this beautiful blend that everyone's going to enjoy. It's super yummy, like Ed said, while also working with Mother Nature. And I'll tell you, sometimes she's very fickle.
Spoken like a great politician, Allison. You didn't give us a straight answer, for sure. Now, Julie, you're going to be talking a little bit about tequila and teaching us some things about tequila, which for some of us when they were younger didn't necessarily have the best experience with tequila. So you're going to have to get me off of the I will never drink it again bandwagon. So
100%.
that's your challenge tonight. But just tell us maybe a little bit about tequila. Is it a blend? What are the differences between tequila making and winemaking?
Well, there's a lot of similarities, actually. So first of all, Tromba is a Canadian brand. So my boss is from Toronto, and he started it a few years ago. So Canadian brand, it's made in Mexico. So tequila has to be made in Mexico. In fact, it needs to come from 5 different regions in Mexico. Similar as champagne, if you want to do a bit of similarities. And it needs to be from one variety of agave, although there's over 200 types of varieties of agave, as there's millions varieties of grapes as well. And it's made in Mexico. For example, in Jalisco, it's the same region, but you've got the highlands and the lowlands, and they have 2 different terroirs. The altitude is different, the climate's different, the soil is different, the ripeness will be different, and actually give 2 types of different agave at the end of the day, and the tequila will be different as well. Same thing as for wine. So it's really, really similar. I would say the extra thing that we do in the process that we have to cook agave in order to have fermentable sugar for fermentation, and we're going to distill it afterwards. So we're adding those 2 things, but besides it's pretty similar.
Great, cool. And I know later on when we start talking about tequila, you're going to tell me the difference of like I know some is silver, some is darker in color and all of that stuff. But
yeah.
Maybe you'll answer that question when we get into the mixing. How's that
For
sound?
sure. But I know you asked me about the blend and I didn't actually answer.
Yeah.
There's a blending situation with tequila, but a blend is no bueno. You don't want a blend. So what you want actually is the opposite. You want 100% agave tequila, because your bad experience is coming because you drank what we call Mecteau tequila. So it has to be 51% agave and 49% of, it can be anything. Most likely corn syrup, cane sugar, a lot of really that's. So you want to look for 100% agave tequila. You don't want to mix it. You don't want to mix.
All right, so the stuff we got going today is 100%.
100% agave.
Absolutely. Great. All right. So one of the things that, funnily enough, we've just gone through our Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, I'll call them blending sessions, where Allison, Dave, our winemaker, and I sit down and we literally taste through all the different barrels of Chardonnay and all the different barrels of Pinot Noir to decide which barrels are going to go together. So when we think of Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, we don't necessarily think of a blend, but from a winemaking perspective, different rootstocks, and most importantly, I'll say different barrels that we have that go through there. And so every single barrel tastes differently, and we need to figure out which ones are going to go together to make the best wine. I'll let Allison, I'll throw it over to you, Allison, on where do we begin and what do you do, and take us through the components. And as we go through this, if you have cracked open, Karen's cracking open the wine for me, which is great. As we go through this, Allison, and hopefully you at home can blend together your own Twisted and see where you end up. So Allison, over to you.
So the most important thing that we start off doing is tasting, right? So we know we're going to start with our Twisted. We're going to have Chardonnay, Riesling, and Gewürztraminer. So let's start tasting. Let's taste our Riesling and see what it's giving us. So Riesling has a beautiful natural acidity. It really provides structure to wine and ageability. and a little bit of residual sugar to balance out that natural acidity as well. Lots of beautiful lemon, lime, stone, with wet stone characteristics. And depending how much you love or don't love Riesling, that will depend on how much you want to put in that blend. So next up, we would smell and taste the Gewürztraminer. And like I said, Gewürz, when it comes in during harvest, is the most beautiful, aesthetically, visually pleasing grape. It's like a hot pink and blended with orange, like sherbet ice cream. It's so beautiful. Oh, and it just jumps into the glass on its own. But some people maybe find it's too powerful on its own. So then it gets blended with the Riesling, and it kind of balances out some of that heavy floral note with some of that nice soft citrus flavors. And finally, our Chardonnay. Taste that. A beautiful unoaked Chardonnay can really be expressive of the terroir and the vintage. So what you're getting here is just fruit that's been fermented, just like the other three.
And while you're tasting, don't be afraid to type in some questions. We're happy to answer some questions for people who may have some questions out there. Everybody's too shy. Maybe after a few drinks, all the questions will flow, but throw us some tough ones.
Yeah, a couple tequila. So now we've tasted through all of the wines. Now it's our chance to blend them. So you have an opinion of all the wines. You think, oh, I like this one better, or maybe this one a bit more. So the 2017 Twisted was about 74% Riesling, 23% Gewürztraminer, and only 3% Chardonnay. It was our smallest amount of Chardonnay we put in the blend ever. And I want you at home to try and make your own blend. It doesn't have to be exact. It can be mostly Riesling, a little Gewürz, and a bit of Chard. But I have this fancy little graduated cylinder here, so I get to mock up an exact blend. So I'm going to try and get as close to the 2017 as possible.
So Allie, while you're blending that up and trying to get it close as possible, we got a question. What makes our Gewürz from Flat Rock Cellars more peppery, and I'll say spicy, which is a great typical characteristic of Gewürztraminer, than other Niagara Gewürz? I know I have an answer to that question, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, it's a great question. So my answer to that would be ripeness. I think that we are getting ideal ripeness off our property, and then we are fermenting it, specifically our 2017, to almost dryness, more of an Alsatian method than some of the other Gewürz you might get in Niagara, and that means it's drier. So sugar can often, and ripeness can really cover up that peppery, or showcase, that peppery thing as well. So ours is drier and riper, and therefore I notice that spiciness a bit more. Ed?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I definitely would say, one of the things that a bit of my direction is I do prefer that drier style of Gewürztraminer as a table wine. I think we can do a great late harvest Gewürz as well, which is sweeter, more dessert wine style. But to be able to do a great dry Gewürztraminer, you must have concentration of fruit. And so that goes back to Allison and ripeness. And so our yields are are very, very low for our Gewürztraminer. And that way we can get the ripeness and the concentration of fruit. If you are overcropping Gewürz, which is very, very easy to do, you get that diluted, less spicy, less fragrant Gewürztraminer. And that when we're trying to do a drier style, it just becomes a very thin and more dilute wine if we don't have that concentration. So we really try and drive ripeness from the vineyard, because once we pick the grapes, Allison cannot do anything to make the wine any better. Hopefully that answers your question. Great question. All right.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So where did we end up? What do we got for our? So hopefully everybody had a chance to blend up some wines. I haven't yet, but I'm going to try a third is going to be my rough effort right here, just to see what the differences might be versus the blend that Allison came up with. Does anybody out there think they made a better wine with their blend than Allison and Dave? How's that for a loaded question?
Be honest. That 2017 is so peppery, so floral, and really like that crazy Gewürzy peppery note. It's awesome. It's really aging interesting right now.
So Karen and I are debating. I like mine better. She likes hers better. It's going to be a fight down over here. But look, at the end of the day, you know, when it comes to wine, obviously there sometimes is no right or wrong answer. It really depends on what you like. And you know, it becomes, I'll say, wine is always a part of the party. But Julie, you know, one of the things when we think about a party, you know, I think of tequila as I've had a few glasses of wine. Now I'm going to get out the salt and the lemon and start hitting it back. So I think of it as a party drink. You know, I've heard so much, and I'm really, believe me, I smell tequila and I run away. So
brings you back to your memories, right?
I get that bad memory. So I know there's been a lot of talk about premium tequila versus basic tequila, and there's sipping tequila and all this other kind of crazy stuff that gets it like scotch and things like that. So maybe give us an education on tequila and
sure.
You know, what happens with that premium tequila.
Yeah. Well, it all goes back to our story. Like Eric Brass, the founder and CEO of Tromba, it went down in Mexico a few years ago for an exchange student. And he realized the amazing culture of tequila in Mexico and fell in love with all the beautiful tequilas he was drinking. And that's back in 2005. So he moved back to Toronto, and he became on a quest of finding those good tequilas he had in Mexico. Couldn't find anything because back then in the market, you had what we call the speed rail, so the Mecteau tequila. So if you go into a bar, you order tequila, it's going to be whatever they can find closer, and that's no bueno. It's really cheap. Or you can have really expensive tequila, $100 over a bottle. So back then you couldn't find this beautiful in between, premium but accessible in terms of price and taste. So you saw a bit this gap in the market and like, hey, I'm going to create a tequila like this. So they went back to Mexico, met an amazing master distiller, Marco Antonio Sedano, 40 years distilling tequila, and he was on board with it. Ooh, okay, you have to show me that, Ed. You've got an oldie there. Ooh la la, we don't produce this bottle anymore. That's amazing.
What is it?
So it was in the, you're on mute, Ed. Unmute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we brought this up from the basement, and I probably don't even remember when we had it.
Yeah, so to bring
and I would say I'm saying it's as low as it is because I now have a 19-year-old daughter.
Oh, there you go. Well, she drinks good stuff. I'm gonna give that to but yeah, we changed the bottle since then. But yeah, so Tromba is a premium tequila, 100% agave tequila from the Highlands. So really ripe, really easy drinking, but you're not gonna break the bank. So this is the whole thing about it. So for me, it was such a great fit to go with your wines as well, because I really value your wines. I think they're amazing quality, and I think if you want a great cocktail, all components needs to be premium and really well chosen. So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think, I think what you just said, whether it's a cocktail or whether it's a wine and the ingredients that go into wine, i.e. grapes, everything needs to be premium, right? So if you're using poor ingredients in anything you eat or drink, I would argue you're not going to be able to make as great a drink or a wine or a recipe without great ingredients. So for us at Flat Rock Cellars, it obviously starts in the vineyard, and for you at Tromba, it's starting in the agave field, I guess. Is that what they call it? Agave fields? Great.
Agave field, yeah.
And you're an expert all
I'm
of a
getting
sudden.
this. I'm coming along. All right. Maybe Allison, before we move on, let me just look, hold on. Let's look at the polls because I know we had a poll. Like, I'm going to end polling.
I
And
think there's a question we missed. Robert asking about their blend being more citrusy.
citrusy. Yeah. Allison, you want to tackle that?
I got it. I answered them on the side panel.
You
Oh,
did?
you wrote it in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry guys.
it's
You
Yeah,
went
there
into
you go.
tequila, so someone just asked about how their blend was a bit more citrusy, and I thought, you know what, that's the Riesling in there. That's that lemon lime. It's so beautiful right now. And 2017 is drinking really well right now as well.
Yeah, great. So just the poll. Interestingly, Pink Twisted was the favorite, and White Twisted second. And what I find interesting about that is we're heading out to visit Karen's sister. So we shipped some wine out. So we shipped the Gravity and the Rusty Shed. So we shipped some great wine out, and we shipped out Pink Twisted. So I know that Karen loves the Pink Twisted. So interesting that the Pink Twisted came out on top, which is great.
It's summer.
All right. It
Good
might be
answer.
exactly time of year. Absolutely.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. Now, just quickly, because I know everybody just finished blending. I got another poll. How do I relaunch polling? Clear. Continue. See what I've got. Hold on. How do I go to the next question? There's a way to do this, and I'm not figuring it out. No. I got to end polling. Excuse my.
You don't want to relaunch.
No. Yeah, and I haven't figured out. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I got to go to the next question. Polling 2. All righty. Launch polling. Sorry about that. Which variety had the highest ratio in your blend? So I know there was a question on the side that asked, why do I taste citrusy? And that obviously is a very Riesling characteristic. My answer is going to be 33, 33, 33. So neither. But love to see what everybody gets. So we'll let that poll run for a little bit. People can jump in and answer. And,
I did mine. I did 70, 20, 10, just to, you know, do a kind of a mock-up of what we would do in the cellar. But
yeah, absolutely. All right, sorry. Allison, just before we go on, give me your favorite Twisted story. And Julie, if you have one, you can give that one, give us a favorite Twisted story if you have one.
My favorite Twisted story, or my favorite Twisted cellar story where I'm there at, you know, midnight filtering and wondering how that this wine is that everyone loves so much, and I'm just like cursing it because it's that one that I think I worked the hardest on physically to make this wine, and people love it. They're like, oh, this is my favorite wine. I'm like, thank God, because, you know, I lost 8 hours of sleep and 5 pounds last week running up and down those stairs at Flat Rock Cellars, and I couldn't be happier because that just means that I put my whole heart, all my energy, all my love and passion into this wine, and I love that people enjoy it, because then it gives me the fulfillment that I need to keep grinding it out.
Yeah, and that'll start in about a month
Oh
and a half.
my God, Ed, don't even go. I'm enjoying my back patio as long as I can.
Yeah. And Julie, do you have any Twisted favorite story?
Yeah, well, I'm really in love with the Pink Twisted. I think the color is beautiful. You know, summer has been really hot this year. I've been craving so much rosés, and I work a lot. I'm a workaholic, but sometimes, you know, at the end of the day, when I've got a full sun on my balcony, still work, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna crack open a bottle of my Twisted rosé. And I don't eat a lot during the day because I'm always on the go. And I made myself one day this beautiful, I think it was cantaloupe and tahine salt salad, and I had it with the rosé, and it was so amazing. And the next day I had a watermelon salad with feta cheese and basil, and just this juiciness. It's like I was making a cocktail, you know, at the end of the day, by eating this and drinking it. It's just a little joy in my busy day that brought me. So yeah, it's a love story. We're in love. Yeah.
No, it's great. I love it. You know, one of the
Julie,
great
tell us your favorite food pairing though with Pink Twisted.
Food pairing? The
Yeah,
milk?
it's ketchup chips.
Oh, ketchup. Oh yeah. Oh my God. You don't even say it. Same position. Big day at work.
That was my favorite.
I was craving chips, and I was like, ketchup chips and Twisted, and it worked beautifully. Yeah,
Awesome.
I did that. Ketchup.
It's amazing how great potato chips go with wine. It's unbelievable, right?
Saltiness of it, and they were like the extra loaded ones, so like so much flavor, and it's the wine was rinsing it, and it was beautiful, guys. You need to try it.
Yeah, I agree. Potato chips and wine is absolutely amazing. Well, thanks for those amazing stories. Let me just quickly pull up the poll, see where we netted out. Let's end polling and share results so everybody can see it. So clearly Riesling got the dominant. You know, one of the things for me about the blend is I really believe all three components, and why I think it's been so successful and why it's such a delicious, yummy wine is all three components to me add something great to the wine. So for me, the Gewürztraminer really is the bouquet, the nose, that intense smell that you get from the wine. The Riesling really to me is that upfront, fresh citrus, really refreshing wine. And the Chardonnay to me is the finish. It's that round, soft, there's not an edge to the wine. There's just that right amount of softness that allows you to go, oh my God, I can have another glass of this wine. And all three components add something unique to the wine. And that to me is why I think this wine is so special. But, you know, having Twisted is great with wine. But one of the things and one of the reasons why Julie in here was to see what else we can do, not just with wine, but with some other stuff. And as Julie has said, she's the brand ambassador for Tromba Tequila here in Canada, which is great, and we're super excited. She's also super great at mixology and wine and obviously food and all that kind of stuff. So, Julie, let me ask you, before we get into this, let me ask you a question. What is what's the perfect cocktail? You're the mixology expert. What's the perfect cocktail?
To me, I mean, to create a perfect cocktail will be keep it simple. Sometimes I taste cocktails that have multiple ingredients and you just end up tasting like fruit punch. And I'm like, how did you get this? Like, there's so many ingredients and it doesn't taste really complex, right? So keep it simple and keep the balance. And I really like what Ali said earlier about the balance of a wine. And it's the same thing as a cocktail. You want to balance between, you know, the fruit, the sugar, the acidity, and the bitterness. So keep it simple, you know, just keep your balance. Obviously, I think summer is really affecting my choices in terms of what I'm drinking. I've been drinking a lot of Tromba sodas. We're just launched a Tromba soda in a can. That's my new water. Obviously, perfect time, you know, not too early in the day. And also, I've been really craving a lot of frozen cocktails. So that has been what I've been doing, throwing stuff in the blender and playing around margaritas and palomas, but always to keep it simple.
Great. And then so now we tasked you, or we threw it over to you to say, okay, hey, we got Twisted, which is this great wine.
Yeah.
You know, why did you find Twisted could be a good component for a mixed drink?
100%. First of all, I was so excited when they pitched the idea to me. I was like already brainstorming and working on this. And to me, I've got a sommelier background. I studied wine for 10 years and then I jumped into spirits and I jumped into tequila, but you can't take the sum out of me. And what I like about these wines is they're really aromatic. And then so I played around each component. For example, like the Twisted white, so the citrusy, obviously I would pair this with a citrus component in the drink. To me, it had a little bit of a, I don't know, it was really warm and hot that day. It had a bit of a tropical component. I could see like pineapple going there, and obviously Gewürztraminer brings a lot of spicy notes. I'm like, oh, pepper will be good in there, and freshness with the mint. So each component of the wine kind of guide me into create those cocktails. And what I like about these wines is also the natural wine sugar in there allow me to not add sugar into my cocktails. So my cocktails are pretty dry because I want the wine to remain the star of them as well. So they're pretty simple. They twist on classic cocktails, but the wine is really playing an important role. It really adds the little je ne sais quoi, you know? Oh.
And so just one more question to follow up on that, because it seems like a little more detail from Instagram Live was, how do you reconcile the flavors of the wine with tequila? And do they compete, I guess?
So two things. You can either, for example, in the pink twisted had a lot of strawberry. I'm like, I'm gonna add strawberry into my cocktail. So that's like an obvious kind of, I would say, pairing. Or you can look into what goes well with strawberry. I'm gonna give you a trick of what I do, people who create cocktail. I work with a book called The Flavor Bible, and it's amazing. It's like a dictionary. But so you would go to strawberry, and it would tell you what goes well with strawberry. If you don't want to go the obvious and add strawberry, you want to add something that goes well with it because we have it in the wine, then it's going to be listed basil, rhubarb, like, oh, I can make a basil rhubarb margarita with the twisted pink. I didn't play around with the obvious strawberry, but I played around that component. So you need to list what you have in terms of fruit, of flowers, spices, and then start from there and do some cool pairing with it.
I think I'm going to go buy that Bible because I love that notion. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I got it on iBook. Yeah.
I'm a foodie as well. You know, one of the questions, and again, if anybody has Instagram Live questions, we're sort of trying to track that and answer any questions that people on Instagram Live have. So by all means, we're going to make sure we try and get to everybody. You know, one of the questions I get is, am I hesitant to put our wine in a cocktail? Because for me, some people might say, well, that's lesser. And my response to that, I guess, is if you're going to make a cocktail, make it with the best ingredients, right? So if you're making a wine cocktail, just make it with great wine. Like, why would you put, you know, I always, like, whether it's a cocktail or sangria, the main component of sangria is wine. So why not use great wine? You know, it's
and great juices and fresh
great juices, all of
great
fresh
ice.
juices. Like I was squeezing my lime juice. I didn't buy the plastic lime. I didn't buy the plastic lime for the cocktail, right?
Yeah.
So, but it makes a huge difference. And maybe before we jump into the cocktail making, Allison, maybe give your take on tequila as a winemaker. What do you smell, taste, or what? I'm sure you've had a few in your time.
I've had a few. I'm very spoiled to have had a few tequila trombas in my day. I once was like you, Ed, had just had the worst experience with tequila. I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was just the smell of it made my stomach turn. And then I started drinking tequila that was quality, that was made clean, that was made from a person who knew what they were doing. It was made of pure ingredients. And now, to me, I can sensory analyze it a way I never could before. Before I could even smell it, now I can get other components. I get that same spice sometimes out of tequila, and those beautiful, sometimes those like slight herbaceous, but sometimes fruity notes. And it's crazy when you change it with ice, with water, with cocktails. And I think that too, with mixing wine and cocktails, wine, from a completely scientific standpoint, has so many amazing components. It's got acid, it has tannin, phenolics, it's got bitter, it's got all these things, sugar. All these things make great cocktails: acid, bitter, sugar, and alcohol. That's how you make a great cocktail. Hello, it's wine, basically like already a cocktail. So why not use that as a component in a great premium cocktail? I think it's such a awesome way to look at it. And when you don't just look at it as, you know, mixing a spirit and a pop together and that's a cocktail, when you actually look at, like Julie said, the flavors and the components and the science behind cocktail and what you can, you know, sensory like analyze, it opens up a whole new world.
Cool. Yeah. All right, Julie.
Yes.
No pressure. I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited about this because I want to love tequila, right? So
we're gonna make this happen.
I want to love tequila. I need to get. I mean, my tequila experience is well over 30 years ago. So I really have shied away from it for a long time. So you've got a long gap there between my tequila experience and now. So no pressure, but I am super excited. I've got all the ingredients. I've got, and I'm ready to go. So no pressure. But how about you take us through what we have to do, and hopefully people at home have stuff that they can crank this out.
Sure. First of all, let's talk quickly about the pink twisted cocktail. So it's a blended cocktail. So we're going to let you guys have it on your own. I know you guys are going to some little vacation soon in a cottage. So that'll be the perfect drink to make in a blender at your cottage. I made it ahead of time. I have it here. I'm just going to go through the process of it because it's so simple. Literally in the blender, you add 5 ounces of pink twisted and 1 ounce of Tromba. And then you throw a handful of frozen strawberries and a handful of frozen watermelon. And basically, you don't really need any ice to that because that's the frozen component. It just adds a lot of texture. So fruit, wine, tequila, that's it. 3 ingredients, blender, boom, you have it. You can add some ice if you want it more frozen. Obviously, you know, summer is happening here. And I'm drinking out of, we're really sustainable at Tromba. So we actually make an agave nectar called the sheer agave. And once we press the agave to make the nectar, we use that fibers to do agave straws. So these are biodegradable agave straws. So I'm using them all the time. We brought a bunch to the cottage and we're cleaning them, washing them, and we're using them. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, so Allison was raving about them, I think yesterday. Tell us a little bit more about the straws, because I think from one of the things that Flat Rock Cellars is we are super focused on sustainability. It's a part of our core principles. Allison is the chair of our sustainability committee at Flat Rock Cellars. So we're always looking to find new solutions to help us be more sustainable for our community, for our environment, for our people.
Sure.
So maybe just talk a little bit more about that amazing straw.
We have the same philosophy at Tromba, and with agave, you can make anything. You can actually make clothes out of agave. So right now we're actually working on doing disposable glassware and cutlery and everything we can make. But the thing with straws, that recently this whole movement of Save the Turtle, which is amazing, people in restaurants start getting rid of straws, but people still want straw to drink. People have lipstick on and they need a straw. So the paper straw came, but the paper straws get really mushy. As soon as we put them into liquid, they're not doing a good result. So right now I feel the agave straw coming into the market, and people are really excited about those because they're really hard. You can bite on it for like 3 hours and it's not gonna go, broken or anything. So right now we're supplying bars and restaurants, but I'm really working into getting this into retail so people can actually buy them. Because right now it's boxes of 5,000. So, but I'm working on this because I think it's an amazing project.
Yeah, I love them.
Well, thank you for that. And I don't mean to be, there's a couple questions that have been hanging around from Instagram. So I want to make sure I recognize them and encourage people to keep asking. So a couple questions for you. And one is related to me. It's hard to overcome a bad experience with tequila. What's the best drink that would make a comeback?
So I would say it really depends what type of spirits lover you are. For example, so for tequila, I'm going to come after that, you have Blanco, Reposado, Añejo. Reposado, Añejo, they're aged tequila. So in a Blanco, it's white, not aged. So if you're a gin lover or a vodka lover, I would say go for the Blanco. If you're a whiskey, bourbon, rum lover, go for the Reposado Añejo. So if you're a bourbon lover and your favorite drink is an old fashioned, try an old fashioned with Añejo tequila. Don't go out of your way. Don't have a shot of Blanco. Don't have a margarita if you don't like tequila. Go for your go-to. If you're like, hey, I like Bloody Caesars because I like, vodka, have a Tromba Bloody Caesar. I like aviation, have a Tromba aviation. So just what I like, I call this twist on cocktails. Just a Tromba. So yeah, just, little steps by little steps. And to go back, it's a bit like an acquired taste, right? It's like first time you eat blue cheese, you're like, oh, this is overwhelming. So just go with your go-to and just slowly integrate it into being in love with it. Because I had a bad experience too. So I made my way.
It's amazing. That's great advice. And another one, Julie, for you is, what's the most surprising cocktail ingredient you've discovered this summer?
Ooh.
Other than Twisted.
That I discovered or that I created?
That you discovered. I don't know. They're looking for
I'm not going out, so it's basically everything I make. But okay, there's something that really surprised me and that became everyone's favorite cocktail, all my neighbors' favorite cocktail. I think my neighbors are actually watching. So I made a margarita. It was a classic margarita. It was a frozen margarita. But instead of using regular ice cubes, I had a lot of coconut water. And I'm like, okay, I need to use it. So I made ice cube with coconut water. And I can see, but like this is my little garden here of so much basil, and I hate to waste things. So threw a bunch of basil, so margarita, so agave, tequila, lime, and I threw a handful of basil with coconut water ice cube. The drink is bright green and it's so delicious. And the coconut water ice cube just adds a touch of salinity into it. It's super cool. So for me, like, so easy to do. Instead of regular water, use coconut water into your ice tray, and that's it. And yeah, I'm so excited about it. It's crazy. So yeah, I think that's what really got me excited this summer. Yeah.
Great.
You need to make
All
some
right.
cocktails.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's make a cocktail. Crank it up. I got the ingredients. We're ready to go.
Let's do it. All right. So this one is, okay, so as I said, it's a twisted white. I had some tropical notes, obviously some pepper notes, some spicy notes, and really some freshness notes. And I like the natural sugar in it and the texture that the Chardonnay brings. So we're going to make a margarita. We're going to do a pina menta margarita. So we're going to play around pineapple, cracked pepper. Oh, hi, Karen. And some mint. So the first step, we're going to pour our Tromba. So that's going to be 1 ounce of Tromba Blanco. I'll be so curious to taste your batch of Tromba because, you know, tequila and our tequila is like, there's vintages, right? It's not the same climate every year. So the batches, they taste slightly different and it's cool. That's a good thing. So I'll be so curious to taste.
Do you know how old this one is?
You would see maybe the batch number on it. I don't know if the old bottles had it. We used to have the batch number on it.
Yeah,
and like,
lot number.
there's a year on it.
Yep, 2011.
Oh my gosh.
That
God,
tells you, that tells you how much tequila gets consumed in my house. And like I said, that was probably full a year ago. Now that I have a 19-year-old.
you need a new bottle. Oh, you've got it. Okay. Oh, that's amazing, though. You just made my day bringing this oldie back. All right, so we're going to do 1 ounce of Tequila Tromba. And now about 30 mils. Or it could be 2 tablespoons. So you don't need like a professional jigger or anything. You could use a mason jar instead of the shaker. You know, everything's possible.
All right.
So 1 ounce of Tromba. So be 2 ounces of twisted white.
I should have a little jigger.
Free pour, Karen. Come on.
I'm a good free pourer.
Yeah. I love that.
You can tell we're a beer and wine family, right? Like we don't do no shaker, no nothing. Like it's pathetic in this house.
You don't need all that, honestly. Well balanced and made with love, and you know, follow your intuition, your gut, right? So
exactly.
And then we're gonna do with 1 ounce of pineapple juice.
We need 2 ounces.
And Julie, can it be any kind of pineapple juice? What are you using today?
Yeah, well, actually, we made some tests at the cottage the other day, Ali and I, and I brought fresh squeezed pineapple juice, which tasted good, but a bit like underripe. And then I was
really
like,
green.
Yeah, really green, and didn't do that frat that I wanted. And then so Paul and Ali had some Dole pineapple juice in a can, and we made another one with it, and it was actually really better. So I would say, yeah, just grocery pineapple juice, guys. It's and then for acidity, is going to be just a touch of lime. So it's basically just a 1/4 ounce of lime, because I have to say that the wine is pretty well balanced as well. So, and as you notice, there's no sugar in it. There's no any agave or anything. It's just the wine itself, the beautiful balance that is going to bring all this, the freshness and the sugar. We're going to add a crack of pepper or 2 or 3, just a bit of black pepper, just to go to reach out to this peppery notes we had because of the Gewürztraminer. Something about the juice as well. Pineapple juice I recommend not fresh because it adds a bit of sweetness in the cocktail. But when it comes to lime juice, as you said earlier, like fresh is always better. I get lime juice from my juicer. Obviously, I live by myself. I can't.
I love the grinder, Karen.
So what I do, I buy
so subtle.
fresh.
I hate the grinder too.
Because
I missed that. I didn't see that.
We're grinding the pepper.
Oh, I love it. Exactly. So I buy my juice.
So she's not messing around.
I buy like a liter of lime juice and I fill up my ice tray and I put it in the freezer. Once I'm done, I put it in the Ziploc bag. So you have fresh juice anytime you want. You actually shake it when it's frozen. So I would say buy fresh, freeze it, and then you always got some fresh stuff on hand.
Oh,
So
that's good.
yeah, and if you have a juice that's about to run bad or a cantaloupe that's a bit, juice it, put it into the freezer.
Oh, it's such a
Right?
good idea.
No waste. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then we can add some mint, and I'm picking straight from our garden here.
We're picking straight from our garden here too, see?
Yeah.
So
So
authentic.
5, I would say maybe like a few, 3, 4, 5 leaves. But I'm gonna give you a trick
For
with
two
mint.
glasses?
So with mint, if you want to release the flavors, you need to tap it.
Oh,
Yes, there you go. Tap it and put it in the shaker.
So
So
from a scientific side, you're
There you go.
actually breaking the cell walls and releasing all of the volatile aromatics when you're crushing the mint there. Just so everyone knows why you hit
so
your
it all of a sudden
herbs.
comes back. Yeah, perfect.
great tea, Allie. I love this. So we have our tequila in there. We have the twisted. We have pineapple juice, lime juice, pepper, and some mint. So now we're gonna add some ice and we're gonna shake or stir well, as you guys are probably gonna do with. My ice is all melted. Balcony reality. And then you have your coupe ready, and then I'm gonna shake. There you go.
perfect, Ed.
My hands are so clean because I've used so much hand sanitizer for the last 4 months.
I know, right?
Smells amazing. Okay.
And what I like about the pineapple juice is that it's making like a natural froth to it. It's really, really frothy. It's really good. And then if you save some mint, you can also garnish it with the mint. Again, I'm gonna go back.
This is the big moment with Ed and tequila. Woo-hoo.
Oh my
This is the moment
goodness.
again.
How can you not? It smells delicious.
And we have this.
That is so beautiful, Julie.
Looks great.
Well, when
And
it's
that
made with
natural
great
froth is
ingredients.
insane.
Yes, exactly.
So crazy.
Salud.
Oh my
Cheers,
God.
guys.
Vegan.
Oh, that's delicious.
Yes.
I might be a tequila drinker after all, Julie.
There we go. Where's my medal?
Holy man.
The pepper is really good in there.
And they're all coming from the component of the wine, what I would perceive the wine in terms of flavors and aromas. So creating cocktails with wine is actually really fun and really easy because they give you a direction. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this. And then you go whatever you have in your fridge as well. But yeah, I'm glad you like.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And not overly sweet, right? So I'm not overly sweet. So when I shy away sometimes from cocktails just because I find, I think of sweet and it's not at all. And
Yeah.
really,
refreshing.
and that bad tequila flavor was not in that at all. So I can't believe what I've been missing all these years.
Right? Catch up. But first, yeah, Tromba is really, really smooth, easy drinking tequila. So in cocktails, it's just like a little cloud. And also, I never create sweet drinks. Sweetness is not something that is like the balance is important. If you have a sweet drink, it's because they didn't respect the balance with the acidity and the bitterness. So a sweet drink, it's unbalanced to me. And I feel that you really want to taste each of the ingredients. If we had some sugar in it, we would have masked the wine, masked the tequila. We want to taste all this. So yeah.
Great.
I like it.
That's
Awesome.
A very
That was
good
awesome.
Point. I find that's very interesting. You're right. Some of them, the sugar just takes over and you don't taste anything else.
Don't taste anything. Yeah.
Hard
You
to
taste
Just the
the
headache.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
No headache with Tromba. It's certified.
Great.
No.
We'll tell you tomorrow morning.
I want to because I know I'm going to be having more tonight.
Oh, there you go. Thank God you have another
Converted
bottle.
me, which is great. I want to make sure we're mindful of time. The one question I want to have, because I do want to learn a little bit more about tequila, but where can we find Tromba and what other tequilas are there that we can get?
For sure. We are at LCBO for a few years now. We're in pretty much every LCBO. We're super lucky to be. So you would find easily the Blanco. The Blanco retails is $49.95. In that category, we're pretty much the only one. You can get way, I would say, cheaper, like in terms of price point, way more expensive. But for the quality in that price point, we're right in the middle. We're right in the sweet spot, I would say. Also, we have, if you want to commit to a whole bottle and like, I'd like to try Tromba, but I don't know, we have our minis. This is the cutest thing ever. Fits in your back pocket, in your purse, you know, bring it to the beach. It's these are really cute. So these are $14.95 at LCBO. They're not in every LCBO, but most of them. So it's always good to check on the store locator before. As I said earlier, we just launched our Tromba soda in a can. We tried it a few weekends. It's a perfect cottage beach drink. It's no sugar, no carbs, no sodium. Tromba soda, touch of natural fresh lime. So, you know, we say like drink cocktail, sugar, sugar, sugar. It's super refreshing. Ali and I drink it with like wedge of grapefruit in it, and yeah, you like it. Yeah.
It's like drinking. It's refreshing. It's like water with a touch of flavor, and it doesn't give you that fake taste of like a vodka soda with that weird fakey lemon lime, whatever all the nude neutral zeros coming out now.
Yeah.
And it's honestly just kind of a tequila itself is a very beautiful flavor if it's done properly, and so much beautiful refreshing soda and a touch of lime, and it's a really cool beverage.
Yeah.
Just try that with some white twisted next time.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just speaking, and just so everybody out there knows, for our wines, Flat Rock Cellars, obviously LCBO, you can get them both twisted, all of those unplugged Chardonnay, the unplugged Chardonnay, the Riesling, the twisted are all available at the LCBO. So the other thing that in this COVID era, just either go online or call the winery. We deliver it right to your door. I think it's about $10 for delivery. If it's over a certain amount, you get free delivery. You don't have to go out. Be respectful of everything. You don't have to worry about wearing a mask, and it gets delivered right to your door. So remember that from a safety perspective and what we're trying to do as a society. So great. And Allison, maybe you just talk a little bit about visiting the winery, because I know people out there wonder a little bit, are we having people at the winery and what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that we've been doing some tastings for at least over a month now. And we just went to phase 3. So now we're able to have people inside, and our staff has been over and above with cleanliness, stopping people, making sure everyone's checked in properly. Your safety is at our utmost the forefront. So that, and then your beautiful customer experience, coming to see our beautiful view, our amazing wines, and our beautiful green roof patio. You can be outside, totally socially distanced, and you can enjoy wine while you're at it. So as long as you come people in your bubble, no groups larger than 6, and we are more than happy to have you.
And if you want to book a tour with Allison, you can get your own personalized tour with Allison.
True.
It's all online, so crank that out, because it is one of the greatest tours of wine you'll ever have. So
I actually convinced a couple to get married at Flat Rock last week, so it's
that's how good the tours are.
I think it's a Montreal couple, was it?
It was a Montreal couple. They were so amazing. I had so much fun with them.
People from
We
Montreal.
had a beautiful retail assistant translate the entire thing, and
Yeah, you can get a French tour if you want. That's amazing.
French tour, exactly.
There you go. So lastly, we just got a minute or so left. So I just want to, I want to thank you, Julie. I love your passion for all things cocktails, wine, and food. And I think you did an amazing job. And I think what you do is amazing. So thank you for converting me to tequila, and really appreciate you and love your spirit, your smile, and everything you do. It's awesome. And
Thank
Allison, as always, you're a superstar, and thank you very much for all the things you do at Flat Rock Cellars. And for everybody that's out there, please, we'd love to hear what you did, what you thought of the drinks. Get on social media, tag us, do all of that crazy stuff that I know nothing about. But I would please do it.
People find me on social media. My name is Jukie.to. Jukie is a nickname from Tromba. And if you need any recipes, anything, I'm here to create content for you guys. So reach out to me, and feel free to go crazy on Tromba.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Right.
Stay safe, be well, and we'll see everybody again, because we love doing these things.
Yes.
Cheers.
Have a great night, guys.
Bye.
Bye. End meeting.